Get You Some Radio.
Here's the thing, people, we sit out here and we wait for business. And this is the days of old where we stood out on point, Terry, and we waited for the up, right? The old up. And and the problem with that is you're not creating anything. You're not creating your opportunities. You're waiting on your opportunities. And the problem is when you wait on things, then you're at the mercy of advertising, economy, basically everything, right? I don't ever want to be that guy anymore.
Now, your weekly dose of inspiration, perspiration, and just the right amount of bull defecation. The Get You Some Radio Show with your host, the Vice President of Making Shit Happen, Terry Lancaster.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Get You Some Radio Show. Terry Lancaster here, and today's guest got an interesting story. Guy moves from living in paradise on the beach, selling a lot of cars, doing okay on the beach in Florida, and for some reason, he decides that he's going to move to backwater Kentucky, the middle of nowhere Kentucky. Why would my guy do that? Because he went to the second largest used car dealership in the country, Dan Cummins Chevrolet. They're selling cars left and right all over the country. They've got a great culture there, and he was able to do that because of what he's done over the last 2 years, going from being a nobody to being a somebody by building his own brand. I don't know if you know him or not. Shawn Hays, he's the woo guy. If you haven't seen these videos, I don't know, I'll see how I'm doing it right. Woo! He starts every video, and he's been doing it for 2 years. He's been on my video screen. I'm happy to have him today. Shawn Hays from Dan Cummins Chevrolet coming up next, right after this.
Make more friends. Sell more cars. 97% of car shoppers say they would prefer to know their salesperson before they ever set foot in the dealership. People buy from people they know, like, and trust, and they refer their family and friends to people they know, like, and trust. Visit terrylancaster.org to learn how your sales staff can get more reviews, more referrals, and more repeat business by building better, stronger, more authentic relationships online and in real life. terrylancaster.org.
Shawn, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, man. Nice to see you. Thanks for having me on.
I'm super excited to have you on. I've been watching the story. I've been watching what you guys, what you've been doing, and especially what y'all have been doing over at Dan Cummins, and how you moved up to Dan's Cummins to join the team there, which is an interesting move. I've seen a couple of folks do that, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But I'm having you on today because you have a new book coming out for automotive salespeople. The book's called Build Your Brand, because you building your brand is what allowed you to become the sales manager for the second largest used car dealership in the country, and what allowed you to move from Florida to the middle of nowhere to Kentucky to do what you've been doing. So tell us about the book, and then we'll do the backstory and go back and see how you got there from here. But tell us about the book you got coming out and what that's going to do for everyone.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's called Build Your Brand. And the reason I thought it was important to make this book for the automotive industry is there's not a lot of books out there, or really a blueprint for a automotive salesperson on how to market and build their name in the industry. There's a lot of books on building companies, building their brand, and building the dealership's brand. But as far as an individual, how do you get your name out there? How do you market yourself? How do you do it properly, and what not to do? And I just felt like I'd done a pretty good job with it. And I felt like a lot of people asked me so much on what to do and what not to do. And I said, well, forget that. Why don't I just go ahead and put it in an actual book form? And maybe somebody will read it, you know?
Yeah, and is the book out now? When's it coming out?
It should be back from the publisher next week. I should have it in hand by the end of next week, and then should be out to some of the clients the following week. It'll be out this month.
Well, good. I'm excited. I thank you so much for sending me an advance copy. I got a chance to read some of it over the weekend, and great stuff in there. Of course, I'm a big preacher for what I'm in the choir, so you're preaching to the choir. So I'm a believer, and I'm smelling what you're putting down. The book grabbed me right from the beginning in the intro, because you had a quote that really stuck with me. I mean, branding is what I tell everyone. I have a superpower because I've raised 3 teenage daughters, and I can actually hear when someone rolls their eyes at me, and I get that a lot when I start talking about branding. Personal branding. There's a lot of confusion as to what it exactly is, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it. But right in the introduction of the book, you said that over the next 10 years, car sales will become 90% marketing and just 10% the actual sales process, that the act of selling is going to become much less important than the act of marketing, and branding is part of the act of marketing. So tell me about that, and how did you come to that conclusion, and what does that mean for the average salesperson in America?
Well, I believe in the car industry, we spend so much time on training of the sales process, the road to the sales acumen, getting better at that kind of stuff. But really nobody knows how to market themselves properly, right? We're supposed to be individual, individual businesses inside of a business. But really when it comes down to it, a lot of people don't know how to do that properly. So
right.
I have seen more and more and more with the customer now doing 12 to 16 hours of research before they ever enter a dealership, that the customers are more savvy. They know more about the cars. They know more about you and the dealership. And in general, they're choosing who they want to do business with. And
right.
if that's the case, if really it's not about if they can buy this car anywhere and then they can find the lowest price online, then you need to separate yourself from the competitors out there. And I really think that this is something that we need to get better at, because I believe the more and more people that are doing that, the less apt they're going to be just to roll into dealerships. Terry, you probably know, a few years ago when I got into the car business, most of your customers that walked in would go in, at least plan to go to 3 to 4 dealerships.
Right.
That was kind of the thing, man. They go here, there, and then on the 4th one, they would either buy there or buy one of the previous ones. But now they're only going to like 1.5. And if that's the case, how do you get to be part of that 1.5? And the best way to do that is to provide value to them, right? To some way you got to stand out and show them why you are different and why you can bring them value. So the best way to do that is to market yourself. And that's what I think a lot of people don't know how to do it properly.
Well, and that's a big switch. That's a pretty big switch in the head that a salesperson has to make, especially if you've been doing this for any time and you're used to being, you're not a marketer, you're a salesperson. The marketing brings in the customers, the dealership does the advertising, they buy the leads, and they line them up, and all you have to do is knock them down. But that's not the way the world works anymore. How does someone who that is kind of an odd situation, that how do you make that switch in your head? How do you get that light switch to go off that my job is marketing now?
Well, when you're tired of sitting around waiting for the business to create opportunities from you, and they're coming in at less and less, I need to become better at it. So you need to figure out how to do it. I guess it was easier for me than maybe other people, but I've messed up a lot. I failed a lot. It was really throwing spaghetti against the wall, because I said there really wasn't a blueprint, right? I kind of had to see what stuck. What was some things that worked? What was some things that not worked, right? What did I get a good response on? I found social media was one of the best ways for me to draw attention quickly, right? Market myself to my community. I really believe that if you show value to people, so much value, not salesy, not going on and saying, come on down, I got a big sale, not come on down, we're slashing prices right now. I believe that is the improper way to sell, to market yourself. I believe the best way to do it is just to provide value, so much value in your marketplace and in your community that people actually feel bad if they don't buy from you, right? And that was my theory. I'm just going to keep providing value, and you'll kind of put yourself up as the expert in your community on that subject. And that was the approach I took. I want to be the expert in my community. When people think about cars, even if they don't know me, they've seen me in their time feed, and they're like, man, hold on, I need a car. This guy keeps popping him up and I've watched him. He seems like he knows what he's talking about. He doesn't want anything. He's not coming on and being salesy. He's just providing value to me and to other people. Let me go ahead and check him out. And that was my theory at the time.
Yeah. How'd it work out for you?
Well, it's worked out pretty good, actually. Not only were customers coming in, but you get a lot of benefit in other areas too. You know, it allows for side hustles. It allows for you to make financial, get financial gain in other areas. So I really, really believe that you can change your life by creating a brand.
Yeah.
Not just get more customers in. I really believe you can change your life by branding yourself.
Well, that's kind of my thing. The story you tell the world changes your world, and it's going to change your world in ways you can't even begin to imagine right now because you're not there yet. But it'll make dramatic changes for you. But I wanted to ask you that you talked about adding value, and this is the thing. I mean that we hear a lot. You have to add value. You have to be of value, and you have to bring value. But let's be specific, because again, most of the salespeople, they're not marketers. They're salesperson. What exactly does that mean? Deliver value. What were you doing to deliver value to your customers that was so valuable to them? What does someone do to be of value?
Well, everybody knows their customers have pain points, right? Everybody goes to buy things and they hate one level of buying something, right? They just have something they don't like. You know, whether in the car business is synonymous for this. They hate how long it takes. They hate the back and forth. There's things that that are pain points. Well, I believe if you kind of find those pain points and you can bring value to those customers to show them how to do it better, how to get more for the trade, how to not fall victim to the bait and switch, just all these things. And you do videos on that and you're just bringing value. You're not attracting the customer. You're not saying, come on down. I got best prices. I can get you at $199 a month, or I can do this, or I can do that. You just literally go into every situation and market yourself by providing them value with things that they hate about buying cars. If that's my industry, that's what I talked about. I talked about the pain points of what people hate about buying cars. Now, it kind of went into a different way with me, where I got into more of a training and helping other salespeople across the industry. But I saw a great need of that and teaching them on how to become better and help their community with the car buying process.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that was one of the great things that I liked from the book about using video to address customers' pain points, the how to get more for your trade, to how not to get taken, to how to save more money, to how to get the best finance rates, creating how-to videos to address customers' pain points. But then I was going to ask you, because you said that the path you've chosen to take is not the same path that you recommend for other salespeople to take, because you separate it from that road along the way, from addressing customers' pain points to addressing salespeople's pain points. So you try to you mentioned in the book that for salespeople, you need to be focused on not on other salespeople, not on helping people become better salespeople, not on changing the automotive industry, but making each individual customer's experience better and addressing their pain points and staying on that road.
Yeah, well, I saw there was a need in the auto industry for this. This was a need, so I wanted to be that guy that kind of filled that void. Okay, I wanted to be able. I saw there was a need for training, for help, for leadership, for just all the things that I talk about all the time. So I believe that exposure is exposure, Terry.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Whether it had exposure to do with buying or selling a car, or exposure in general. And I felt that if people don't know who you are, right, they can't find you, period. So I felt like a passion of mine and something that I wanted to follow was helping others. Now, it didn't provide a lot of my customers value, but what it did provide was exposure. Right. And they saw me out there providing help to people that I believe needed it, and being an expert in my field, and that exposure still made them come to me. So I didn't have to be talking about cars. And this is the thing that I do talk about a lot, is that you can go this road or you can go that road. It really doesn't matter. What it matters is exposure in your community. And if you have it, you can become the expert when it comes to what you're talking about. And at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to get, right? That's what marketing is. It's right. Exposure, period, right? Yeah. So that's all I was trying to get, was more and more exposure. Now, I believe if you really feel passionate about something, then you can do it well. And I was passionate about helping others. So that's why I threw myself into the road that I went, because I felt like I could get more exposure if I felt passionate every day to get up and do it. See, I get up, there's a lot required to do this and to build a brand. I mean, I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day, right? Every day writing out a video, right? Figuring out ways that I can prep my mind and become better and become stronger. And like, you know, so there's a lot of work involved with that. And if I'm going to do all that work and stay consistent with it and disciplined and do what's required for me to build my brand and exposure that way, I have to feel passionate about it. Right. And that's why I kind of threw myself in that side, because I knew it would have sustained long-term value for me and for others.
Yeah, I think that's really the switch that, again, that it's hard for people to grasp on, that you don't really even actually, I mean, forget about the car business one way or another. If you were passionate about cookies, if you're passionate about high school football, high school football is a great example, because you talk in the book about finding your unsold Harrys. You're picking your target market. Well, if your target market happens to be the people who live in your small town, then you're passionate about high school football in your small town, then that's a great thing for you to be talking about every day, because there are going to be a lot of people who happen to be potential customers for you, your unsold Harrys, who are passionate about that same thing, and they're going to be able to hear you talking about it.
That's exactly right. Like, so understand this. It doesn't really matter what you're talking about as long as you're getting exposure, right? So like, if, like you said, you come in a small town in Texas, right? College football is king, or high school football is king. Then what would prevent you from talking about high school football and building up an audience about that, but they still know what you do for a living, right? If you can build up a following and people that follow you, and you bring value to their life, when it comes to them purchasing what you sell, okay, you're going to be the first one that's on their mind, and they're going to want to support you because you're providing value in their life. And that's my belief. So you can go with the unsold Harry of only targeting what you do for a living, or you can go off what I did and find your passion, because a lot of people aren't going to find passion in that, Terry. They're just not. They're not going to stay disciplined with it, and they're not going to do it every day. And that's one of the biggest problems in marketing, is a lot of people aren't consistent enough and they don't stay disciplined in what they're trying to build. But I saw that would bore me. Okay, that bored me a little bit, just doing that. What I really found passion in, and how I knew I would stay disciplined in it, is finding something that I'm passionate about and then going all in with that, and then building up your clientele through exposure that way. So there's 2 ways to market it, I believe.
Yeah. And you went all in with video. You decided early on that you weren't a writer, that you didn't want to write blogs, or that wasn't going to be your thing. You turned out and you've written a book now, but you started out in video. In the book, you said that 1 minute of video is worth 1.8 million words. Why video? What's so important about that?
Oh, well, video, there's so much personality in video, right? There's so much. I think about this. When you watch TV, right, or you have watched TV in your life, you feel like these people are like, you feel some camaraderie with them, right? You watch them, they become a regular watcher of that. You DVR it, you find out about these actors, you find out about them. Well, I feel like video is kind of like the phone of the future, right? Or I mean, the TV of the future, your phone right there.
Yeah.
They're feeling one-on-one with you. You're speaking right to them. There's not, it's just more of a personable way than me writing a blog, right? I just think blogs are great, but I feel like I can be more personable. You can see my reaction. You can see my tone. You can see me, my facial expressions. I can smile at you, right? I feel like it's more of a personable thing, and that's why I think it brings so much more value. Now, don't get me wrong. Video is not for everybody. Not everybody's going to be good at video, right? But God blessed everybody with some kind of talent. Whatever your talent is, you need to find out what that is, and you need to maximize it. I believed I was good at video. I believe I'm good at speaking. I'm good at making people understand what I'm trying to say, right? And so I said, well, that's the tool. That's my vehicle to get my word out. Where some people probably aren't going to have that same, they're not going to be as good at video as I would, and maybe writing is more their thing. So whatever your thing is, it doesn't matter. Just go all in with your thing and maximize your exposure with it.
But you weren't good at video right out of the gate, right?
Yeah, I started doing really, really well. What's funny is when I first did the videos, Terry, I deleted them like 100 times, man. And they probably weren't even that bad, but I was trying to be perfect. And here's the problem. And a light bulb went off along the way. It's not about being perfect.
100%.
It's about relating to your audience, and perfect isn't relating.
Yeah.
See, that when people spend all this money to make things perfect, and they spend all this money to all this editing and stuff. I've never edited one of my videos ever, because that's really not what I'm about. What I'm about is relating to my audience in an authentic way, right? Letting them know my imperfections, things I'm trying to do, things I'm relating to them. See, at the end of the day, if you just go out there and talk honestly and openly and quit worrying about perfect, then you become more relatable to your audience. And that in turn is what you want, really, right?
Yeah.
People don't want perfect, but so many times when I held that camera up that first time, I erased it probably for the first 2 months 100 times doing them, because I was trying to be perfect. And then somewhere along the way, I said, no, man, that's not what people want. I don't want perfect from other people. I want real from other people. So then I took a step back and said, just be real.
Yeah, and you even talk about that in the book, that perfection is imperfection is becoming a marketing technique. If you watch TV commercials now and video commercials on Facebook, they're all imperfect. There are a guy sitting out in his car on his phone, and they're imperfectly perfect because they're just real people being real, and that's becoming the status quo in marketing. Slick is not as important as it used to be.
Yeah, I say that all the time. I don't know if I coined the phrase, but I sure said it a while back, and it really flowed out of my mouth, because it's true. My imperfection is my perfection.
Yeah.
And whoever you are and who you truly are, not the person you want other people to think you are, but if you're really truly that person every single day, it's easy to be that person every single day. And I don't care where I came from, and I don't care about what mess I came along the way. That was part of my growth process and my journey. And the best part of it is everybody else has a very similar journey. So if you just allow people into that journey and you just be yourself, that imperfection can be actually the perfect marketing tool.
Yeah. Where did the woo come from? Woo!
Actually, I did it on accident. It wasn't a planned thing. I was so excited because how my life was changing.
Yeah.
Like really, it became, one day I went to go live, and I just felt so excitement for today's video because I really thought it was going to be impactful. It was a Monday after a long weekend. And I've been growing so much, Terry, that I saw my life changing, and it was really out of just excitement. I went, woo, like that, right? Because I was so excited. And then after that, it kind of just stuck. And next thing I know, that was like my thing, right?
Yeah, right. Hey, so I'm gonna switch gears just a little bit. You talked about you talk a lot about videos and about being yourself and about putting yourself out there. But then in the book, you talk a lot about the value of social proof, and social proof in the car business means customer reviews. I love the story you told in there about the reviews, the guy who created the imaginary restaurant. So if you would tell us that story, and then let's talk about reviews in the car business.
Reviews in the car business. Well, I think they're probably going to be the most important thing, Terry, to be totally frank with you. I believe if everybody is going to be doing online research before they not only find their dealership in the car, but the actual salesperson, then you better get as many reviews as you can. And you got to get social proof of people who know you, who believe in you. And I believe that it's important today, but I believe in the future, it's going to be more and more imperative that you have this. You have to have that, I believe, in the future.
Yeah. The story in the book is the guy was writing fake reviews, and he invented this imaginary restaurant, and the imaginary restaurant was booked up with reservations for months in advance because people were reading about it, and it got to be such a big deal that they got in trouble for creating these fake reviews because the restaurant became too popular.
They did. It was really funny. Actually, I read that online, and I was like, wow, I was blown away. And I did some more in-depth research to find out if it was true, and it really, really was. And you can make anything sound good online, right? So it's very, very important to get the reviews. In fact, you can take a dealership a restaurant that isn't even real, and you get enough people to do reviews about it. Next thing I know, it's the hot thing, right? So you can become that hot thing, or you can become that cold thing if you don't have any reviews. So here's the thing, people, we sit out here and we wait for business. And this is the days of old where we stood out on point, Terry, and we waited for the up, right? the old up, and and the problem with that is you're not creating anything. You're not creating your opportunities. You're waiting on your opportunities. And the problem is when you wait on things, then you're at the mercy of advertising, economy, basically everything, right? I don't ever want to be that guy anymore. We have at our fingertips the number one tool there ever was, I believe, because it's cheap, it's affordable. I can get it to anybody I want. I can target my market. I don't even have to, like, the ways we used to market were expensive, right? They're very expensive. TV, print, ads, all this stuff, radio, that is very expensive. And you can't even target the market you want to attack, right? So with this, I have social media, a phone, really is all I need to create the same kind of dynamic I have with old style marketing. Don't you agree?
Oh, I agree 100%. That thing in your hand is a more powerful camera than CBS News had 15 years ago. It's more powerful than, you couldn't have bought that good a camera for millions of dollars 20 years ago, and it's sitting in everybody's pocket, and you can reach the entire world with the push of a button. But you don't even have to reach the entire world, and it's fun. You're right.
Fun. Yeah. I mean, every day I use it. I can say whatever I want. I can give any opinion I want, and I just believe it's more fun. I was getting bored of my career. I really, really, truly was, Terry. I was sitting in dealership, and even though I was the number one salesman in my dealership for 11 years, I was bored to death because I had lost passion and inspiration in waiting on things.
Right.
Basically. So I said, I don't need a new career. I just need to find passion within it. And social media allowed me that, because now I am in charge of marketing myself and building my brand. And I found a passion that reignited my career. And, it brought me here to Dan Cummins, which is really cool.
Yeah, and that's a great story there. Tell us the Dan Cummins story. You guys are selling cars everywhere. How this one little dealership in the middle of nowhere, Kentucky, is a legend in the industry now. What are you guys doing there? How is this happening?
Well, it's really, really smart. They understand social media, and they understand how important it is to market yourself and all the rest. So Dan Cummins, basically the two brothers that bought it from the father, they bought it. It wasn't given. They bought it from him. And 7 years ago, it was selling 120 cars a month. And through growth and through a very smart business model, as well as great advertising and social media, they've grown it to where last March, they sold 1,000 cars that month, and they average about anywhere from 800 to 900 cars every month in a small town of 8,000 people. You got that right. 8,000 people 8,000. Selling 800 cars a month. How does one do that, right? Well, It's great ownership, obviously. They've hired the right people in place in all the positions. It's the best of the best. I'm telling you, I work with some amazing people in every facet of this organization, but they market well, they advertise well, and their business model is to take a lot of the business from a lot of our local dealerships. They kick their butt. They do a really, really good job.
And they've embraced allowing the salespeople to build a business within the business, because a lot of dealers, they don't want anything to do with this. They're scared. They're scared because it's unknown, and they kind of hold their salespeople back from really cutting loose with this.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either, Terry. I don't get it why dealerships don't buy into it. I know the negatives of it. Okay, well, you represent my company. What happens if you leave? You take that customer with you. But here's what I'm saying. If you don't buy into this, you're going to really get left behind, because there's too many dealerships that are buying into it, and their people are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're going to attract their customers. And you're going to be sitting there saying, I wish I would, I could have. Where you could have. All you have to do, if you're so worried about the content that they're going to put out, then you can monitor it, right? Mm-hmm. It's not hard, right? But you have to support it. You have to, you have to support this, because this is the future. This is the present and the future, but it's even going to be more and more prevalent. And, I believe the people that don't buy into this are the same people that thought internet was going to be a fad, right? But it's not. It's not. I believe within the next few years that every single dealership across the country is going to have like a social media, either coordinator. They're going to have a videographer on staff, to run outside and do a video real quick about marketing. I mean, I just think that's the way to go. And if you're not going that way, there's going to be too many dealerships that are going to eat you up. They're going to gobble you up. And all you're going to have is your local, guy that doesn't, you're only going to be like right now, we sell cars in West Virginia. I mean, a lot. West Virginia, Ohio, Tennessee, Michigan, all these that surround us. Yeah. Right? That's only because they would have never heard of this if it wasn't for social media and branding.
Yeah. So this is the part of the show where we're wrapping it up. And I promise everyone, if they'll give me 25, 30 minutes a week and they'll listen to me run my mouth with my friends and talk about the things that I'm passionate about, which is 100% reason that I started the show, so I can have interesting conversations with interesting people, completely selfish reasons. I promise them, if they'll sit through with me and they'll listen to this and they'll watch this, that I will give them one thing that they can do, one action step that they can put into place today, as soon as they put down the phone, to start making their life and their business better. And most everyone is watching this. This is for salespeople. These are for the local guy, boots on the ground. You eat what they kill. If you had to give one action tip to someone who really hadn't jumped into this all the way, or maybe anywhere along the spectrum, what action tip would you tell them to start to get involved in branding themselves and building their own business?
Well, I would say to take action. The best action tip I can give you is to take action. And what freezes people the most times is trying to worry about everything being perfect and have a plan, right? All the way. Like they want to plan everything out. And it's like the problem is you get frozen. You get paralysis by analysis, and you're more worried about what the outcome is instead of the actual action. And I say, look at this. I didn't have a plan when I first got started. March of 2017, I didn't even have a Facebook account. This is actual truth. So I didn't even have a Facebook account. I started one and went right into it without having a plan, without, asking 20 people on what I should do and polling people, and stop doing that. Because when you poll everybody and you ask too many questions, the problem is you delay the process and you never do anything. Just figure out what you want to do, what you want to say, what your voice is on the subject of or whatever you want to talk about, and just put it to action. Go do it. Build your brand, get your logo, it shouldn't take you months and months to do this, because it didn't take me months and months to do this. Mm-hmm. So I just really all this, is kind of easy as long as you put action to it. It's really not that hard, Terry. It's just we make it rocket science. We want to make it harder than it actually is. It really, really isn't. Just have a voice on something. Go out there every day, stay disciplined, stay structured, and don't. That's another thing I want to make sure I get across to you is don't do it temporarily or once in a while. This is something, if you want to get really good at it and attract the amount of business you want to attract, is you have to stay disciplined and structured and do it daily, right? And stay consistent in it every day.
All right. So if we wanted to get in touch with you, if you wanted a copy of the book, how do we do that?
The copy of the book, it's free, guys. All you got to go in there is pay for shipping. It's www.buildyourbrandthebook.com. And you can just click on that. It'll come to you, and it'll be a blueprint on how to build your brand. It's 201 pages long. And other than that, I'm on Facebook, Shawn Hays, Your Car Guy. And I'm on Instagram, Your Car Guy Shawn. So that's basically how you can get a hold of me.
Shawn Hays, Dan Cummins Chevrolet. Brother, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today. Reach out if there's anything I can do for you.
Thanks, sir. Take care, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Get You Some Radio. You've been listening to the Get You Some Radio Show. Subscribe today at terrylancaster.tv to hear more episodes, win valuable cash and prizes, and get free training to help you create an army of buyers who know, like, and trust you before they've ever even met you. It's a big, wide world, boys and girls. Get out there and get you some.